Now today we're going to reglue a window on a 69 Torino. This is one of those things that happen on all these cars, a lot of the Mustangs, Fairlanes, Torinos, so they're pretty much all the same. So just follow with me here, we'll see what we can do. This is one of those dreaded jobs a lot of people are kind of scared to undertake. It's really not that bad. The worst part's getting it in and out. I won't make you watch all this though, but we'll try to get enough of it where people that haven't done it or haven't pulled the inside door panel off before, at least we'll get the gist of that. This is these are 3/8 screws there that hold the arm on. And we've got a Phillips screw for the window regulator. And got the remote mirror, you got a little nut up here. You may not be able to see that. And then you go around, you've got all these little clips. I usually start down at the bottom here somewhere and try to find it. This is a special little tool for that, but a lot of times once you get it going, you can just pull them. Take the knob off the lock. Yeah, let's see. We got a couple more screws here holding the door latch on. Those are a strange size. Yeah, it's 11/32. Ford uses some of those in various spots. It's almost like a 3/8, but it's a little smaller. See what we got here. Alright, the door panel's off. Barrier, vapor barrier. Got it. Get it off of there. It's completely fallen out of the track in the front. It looks like it's been done before. Let me get this out. Okay, so here's what's happened. Looks like this one's been into before, and they've had the problem and they glued it. I'm not sure whether it probably wasn't the right glue. Usually the biggest problem that you got to watch on these is the prep. You've got to get it very clean, the glass and the bracket, and you've got to pay attention to the location. I've done enough of these that I know that you want to be on this bracket here. You want to be a ½ inch from the back of the glass to the back of the bracket, and that one's right on where it ought to be. And then measuring from the same place, from the back of the glass to the back of the front bracket, should be 32 inches. So actually this one appears to have been a little bit out of alignment, not much, but a little bit, because you can kind of tell where the glue was here. Anyway, we've got to get that all cleaned up, but you got to pay attention to where the placement is on these. But on the Torinos, that's the right figure. A ½ inch from the back of the glass, not the strip, to the back of the bracket, and then from the same location, the back of the glass to the back of the front bracket is 32 inches. And make sure that you keep these brackets in the right orientation. Don't get them flipped over and glue them in, because I don't know what in the world you're going to do then. So this is what you've got to do. Make sure that this is the inside of the glass right here, and mark it if you have to. I've got a little sticker here on the outside, so a piece of tape, so I know that that's the outside. And I'm also going to make sure I mark these brackets in the same way. This one I've got to try to get it off, and this one we just need to get it cleaned up good. So when I get started on that, I'll bring you back. As far as cleaning this stuff up, I don't know what to tell you. You just got to do what works, because you find some of these that have been repaired, and they more than likely didn't use the right stuff to start with. So you just got to do whatever works. This is really some pretty pliable stuff, but it's in there. So I'm not going to bore you with it. I'll let you know what I used and how I fared. You just gotta figure out what works. I've got just a piece of about 1/4 inch coal roll steel that just fits in the slot, and it's cleaning it out pretty good after I went through it with the air cutoff tool. I gotta get a little more into it here. Alright, here I've decided to leave the back one in place. It seems like it's hooked up good. It's just one of those things, I guess if it breaks, comes loose, you just have to do it at a later date. I tapped on it a little bit with a plastic hammer and heated it up with the heat gun. It seems to be in place. Get this one on and probably start putting it back in, and guess what? It'll probably come loose. But you gotta be careful with the glass. So that's why I decided to just leave it alone for now. Okay, so we've got her, get the old cleaned up and wipe her down to the last tone. Get all this debris here. This is just regular acetone. Just keep it in a small bottle. That cutoff wheel worked pretty good with getting rid of that old adhesive out of the channel. And just use whatever you can find to get it out of there. I used a hammer and a little cold roll dowel that you can get at the hardware store. Now this is what you use. It's 3M. It's 08641. It's a channel bonding adhesive. I've got a partial one here, so I'm going to try to, hopefully I've got enough that I won't have to open another one, but it's not my normal luck. Put a little bit here on a little on here to make sure you've got it all. Yeah, it's all mixed up good, so. These little applicators, most of them, as long as it's a 3M product, they fit in here in this little dispenser. Oh, I'm gonna run out. Sure is. Let me get recharged. Okay, just pull a little cap off the front there and reload it into your dispenser. And I'm just going to use the same tip. You get one tip with the glue. Then I'm going to have to get this, make sure it's even, uniform color again. And just kind of fill the bottom of that. Lay a little along each edge. It's going to goosh up when you push the glass in anyway. We're going to get our 32-inch measurement. Remember the old adage on this, measure twice. Right on. And then make sure you've got the front to you, and you've got the inside of the glass that I've already marked, and you just press it in there. Now it's a waiting game till tomorrow. Alright, now we're ready to put it back together. I think we've got a good glue on. I'm just going to show you inside the door here a little bit if I can, just so you can see how to get the thing in and out. This is on the front of the door. There's a slider right here, and it just slides up and down on that rod. I'm not sure whether you can see it or not, but we've got that, and the regulator is right next to it. Got a bolt there, and we've got a wheel here that fits into a slot just right here, and that's what guides it up and down. And back here is the other slider. So you've got the four bolts, 2 on this one, 2 on the front one, and 2 screws holding the guide, and 1 bolt holding the front of the regulator. This is our glue job. Everything looks like it turned out real good. The other one's still on, so we're going to try to put her in. And there's a slider here in the front, and then the front of the regulator. You got 2 bolts on the slider, and 2 on the back slider. And the regulator, you got 2 screws that bolt the guide in onto the wheel. And back here is the access port for the window. It's got to go in there, so you tape back the rubber there so you can get it in and see what's going on. And like I say, I think our glue job went good, so let's see if it'll go back in. A while ago that you put it in, right, it's got to go in here. Actually, the 2 little boots that come out on the, which are your stops, they've got to go in this slot. So you slide it in back here first, and then put the front one in, and then the back one in right here, and the glass drops down to the bottom. Now the procedure for hooking all this back up is to first install your guide and the wheel there on your regulator. Then install this bolt here, goes into the front of the regulator. Then you can raise up the glass. Now let's see. Now, right there. You can see that bolt and this bolt. Those are the next ones to go in. You bolt your regulator to the slider, and then you raise it up, and there you've got a bolt here and a bolt back here that you have to access through this hole, and that's your back slider. Then go ahead and tighten everything up, and that should be good to go for that. And then give yourself a little grease on each guide in the front and the back, and then just put it all back together. Your panel back on, your seal back on, and all your armrest and everything. It's pretty much self-explanatory at that point. Get our seal back in position. There's 5 screws. Hold that on. This is supposed to stick by itself, but that old putty is so old. So I will tape it up. And fish our remote mirror back through. Back over the lock and into the channel where the window goes. And then start lining up your keepers here. And that's how that's done. And we've got a little bushing there. And this, since the window's all the way up, it goes forward. Get your opener lined up. And those two 7/32. Okay. I know you guys were yelling at me. Put that cup on first. So there you go. All we got left to do is put the armrest on and we're good to go. So I hope that'll help people that have never done it before and